Upon the end of hostilities of World War II and the transition to a time of peace, the U.S. Army Air Forces established the Strategic Air Command on March 21, 1946. Known by its acronym worldwide, SAC was originally headquartered at Bowling Field in Washington, D.C., and was commanded by General George C. Kenney. The United States Air Force was established as a separate branch of the military services on September 18, 1947. With this historic change came many developments and modernizations of the old Army Air Corps. On May 28, 1948, General Kenney met with base officials announcing that Offutt Air Force Base had been chosen as the host base for the headquarters of the Strategic Air Command. With the move from Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland, command of SAC forces and fulfillment of its mission was taken by General Curtis E. LeMay on October 19, 1948. The growing threat presented by the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics and the Cold War demanded that a strategic response be formulated. During the ensuing years, SAC, under the command of General LeMay, became an omnipotent force that entailed a triad of nuclear defensive and offensive weaponry that encompassed air, navy, and ground-based missiles. In December of 1956, the headquarters building and underground command center for SAC was nearing completion. Seeing the need for security of these sensitive areas, General LeMay tasked the 3902nd Air Police Squadron to select and develop a group of men who would be specially trained to provide security for the command center. This group was initially known by the name Detachment A and was composed of hand-picked air policemen from the 3902nd Squadron, as well as selected air policemen from other SAC installations. In 1957, General LeMay, Brigadier General David Wade, Headquarters SAC Chief of Staff, and Major Herbert Meyer, commander of the 3902nd Air Police Squadron, successfully led a drive to select and procure a uniform for Detachment A, which was basic yet unique. It was composed of issue tan herringbone twill khaki trousers and shirts with jump boots, white neck scarf, and white bootlaces. With this, the unit's personnel looked much like any other military group. The addition of the cross-draw 38 and holster, combined with the wearing of the blue beret with the SAC crest affixed, helped the unit achieve individuality, distinction, and an air of professionalism. Over the years, changes in Air Force dress standards necessitated changing the colors and combination of this unique uniform worn by personnel of Detachment A. But the uniform and its accessories became known and respected around the world. The title Sac Elite Guard was selected in May of 1961, when the Guard was formally recognized and added to the unit manning document of the 3902nd Combat Defense Squadron. In addition to the security duties, these outstanding elite men were tasked with honor guard and ceremonial duties. Added to the complement of this distinguished unit, a silent drill team was established that traveled the width and breadth of the command, displaying their unique talents. Each guardsman was chosen for his professional demeanor, job knowledge, and marksmanship. This elite group has seen over 50 years of successful service in the security of SAC Stratcom headquarters. The primary mission of the Elite Guard was to secure the resources that were located in the SAC headquarters complex, including the underground command center. Operating 24/7, 365, many officers, NCOs, airmen, civilians, workmen, and other military service personnel passed through the varied secure locations within the building. The Elite Guard was tasked to ensure that only authorized personnel were allowed in specific areas. While all within the building, except for the general and his battle staff, wore badges, personal recognition was the primary means of identification used for those areas. Each elite guardsman was trained in martial arts, marksmanship, SAC Air Force policy, and protocol. Each guardsman was required to know each of the generals on staff by personal recognition and their responsibility. Along with this, a guardsman would tutor under a tenured guardsman to learn his job and facilitate the flow of traffic through the building. Each guardsman stood formal inspection prior to his shift, received his orders of the day, and ensured that his uniform met the extraordinary standards required of an elite guardsman. Along with these stringent duties, guardsmen were called upon to respond to security alarms within the building. Guardsmen also accompanied visiting dignitaries, heads of state, and other visitors on tours of the headquarters complex and underground. Each guardsman was trained in professional courtesy protocol and handling the efficient flow of visitors and workers within the building. Regardless of the rank, each individual who entered the complex was under the scrutiny of the elite guard and could not proceed without the guardsman's approval. While the USAF mission has changed over the decades, the elite guard responsibility has not. They remain the last line of defense to sensitive resources in this complex. During the inception of the Elite Guard, General LeMay requested that a special formation of men be developed to create a silent drill team that would represent the command and bring recognition to SAC and the Air Force. Initially, a 12-man team was developed that evolved into a 21-man unit. The team used manual of arms training along with complex drill team maneuvers that were all based on a silent count that each man was given. Numerous drills were developed that could encompass a 3-minute drill all the way to a 15-minute review. No commands were spoken, and each maneuver required the precise movement in time to a silent count. Many unique movements were developed, from the pass-through to the crossover, change of arms, and the Queen Anne salute, which were all crowd pleasers. The drill team traveled nationwide to all SAC base open houses and performed on national television on the Ed Sullivan and Mike Douglas shows, to name a few. Along with these ceremonial drills, the Sac Elite Guard drill team competed with other branches of the service for bragging rights for being the best silent drill team. The Sac Elite Guard received many trophies and recognition for being the best. The drill team was disbanded in 1969 due to manpower constraints in the Air Force at the time. But for those of you who may have seen them perform, they were the best. While security was the primary mission of the Elite Guard, honors and ceremonies were its second duty. Many visitors passed through Offutt Air Force Base, from heads of state, kings, queens, dignitaries, movie stars, politicians, and others from all walks of life. Standboard honors were always afforded to heads of state, monarchy, and visiting command generals. During the change of command ceremony, the Elite Guard was tasked with presentation of the colors and change of command flag ceremony. Additionally, the Elite Guard performed a changing of guard ceremony each week, later monthly, at the outside entrance to Building 500 that signified the passing of responsibility from the outgoing flight to the incoming flight. The Elite Guard was normally the first group a distinguished visitor would see upon their arrival either at the on-base flight line terminal or the front door of Building 500. The Guard was also called upon to perform color guard honors for many of the events like the College World Series and Exarban. During the Governor's Ball, later known as the Sink Sack Reception, held at the Officers Club at Offutt, Elite Guardsmen would be on hand to greet the arriving dignitaries. Along with these duties were funeral details, where the Elite Guard would preside and perform graveside ceremonies honoring fallen soldiers. SAC's motto was pride, or professional results in daily effort. The Elite Guard exemplified the pride of those who served in the SAC command. On a cold day in December of 1962, then-President John F. Kennedy, along with Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson, paid an official visit to Offutt Air Force Base. Meeting the plane upon its arrival was the Sac Elite Guard ceremonial team. The popular President Kennedy was greeted by crowds of well-wishers from Nebraska, and along the flight line stopped at a number of spots to accept their greetings, smiling and shaking all hands within reach. General Power accompanied the President and Vice President, along with Air Force Chief of Staff General LeMay, to the SAC headquarters complex, where they were taken into the underground and briefed on the mission and operation of SAC. Little did anyone know that this would be his last visit to Offutt Air Force Base. Less than a year later, he was assassinated in Dallas, Texas. President Kennedy will long live in our memory as the Commander-in-Chief who led us through the dark days of the Cuban Missile Crisis. An era ends at Offutt Air Force Base. In October 1992, the Strategic Air Command is retired and is replaced by a Joint Command, U.S. STRATCOM. SAC will be remembered as a major deterrent to nuclear war, as witnessed by its success during the Cold War. The motto, "Peace is our profession," resonated as a voice of reason during the nuclear arms race years, but was recognized by its adversaries as a strike force with unparalleled resources, with highly trained and motivated personnel. For 42 years, the Strategic Air Command was the guardian of peace and will long be remembered by those who served in its command.